This is the W2 Report with Sanji Himura. Here's Sanji.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the W2 Report. I'm your host, Sanji Himura. Today, we announced the death blow of another live service video game. But before we do, let's go over the ground rules with Lord Crocosquirrel as always.
Roll the first. Dick, don't be it. That's right, I said beat up the dick. Rule number 2. If there are questions, please refer to rule number 1. That's right, folks. Don't be the dick, no matter what.
All right. Highguard joins the list of live service games axed within weeks of launch.
Oh, yeah. 45 days. And what do we got? We got that shutting down tomorrow, don't we? On the 12th?
Yes, we do, actually.
It's gonna suck to be peoples. No, really, if you wanna get this last ditch into Highguard, now's the time. Just don't pay for it.
Actually, I do feel the need to interject into this story because I learned from YouTuber Blinky that it's actually kind of tragic what'll happen because the devs got kneecapped by their own publisher. Well, their own Chinese overlord Tencent. Basically, they wanted to do a variation of how they did Titanfall. They wanted to shadow drop it and build up the audience slowly, taking in feedback and adjusting accordingly as they get the feedback. But then I can't help but think it's Tencent that convinced Jeff Keighley to give them that high promotional spot.
Yeah.
So then the high promotional, so then that high promotion before instead completely handicapped or completely kneecapped their shadow drop and build slowly plan.
Well, regardless of who's behind it.
Yeah, it's like it still would have died slowly, but at least it would have died on its own terms.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Real tragedy.
Well, unfortunately for Highguard, it got concorded in 45 days, which means that from release to its closure tomorrow, it did not have much of an audience.
Yeah. You know, it's like, and the more I think about it, it's like the more doomed it was because the devs planned for a slow build-up and Tencent was a publisher that wanted money immediately.
Absolutely.
So there was no way to resolve that.
Well, also what's bad for Highguard was that it released during an era of video gaming, and you can quote me on this, where nobody wanted a live service video game.
Yeah.
No. People have been not wanting those for a long ass time now.
They want good single player video game experiences that were reminiscent of the 2000s and 2010s. Personally, and this is me yelling at a cloud here, online video gaming has been the worst thing to video games since the Atari crash of 1983. Yes, I went there. Mainly because the experience of throwing shit out and seeing what sticks has been so bad that it took Nintendo to save the video game industry as we know it today.
And only because they actually lied to the customer base. A lie that worked really well. Because it was, fooled you, it is a games console. Oh, no, it's an entertainment system. Look, it's right here in the name.
Yeah.
Fooled you, it is a game, but it is a games console. Everybody didn't think about that. A bunch of people bought the damn thing, and then they realized, ooh, those do look fun.
Yes, and it caught on from there.
I do have to disagree with you with the worst thing since the Crash argument, because online multiplayer has been too much of a mixed bag to be unambiguously the worst. Because on my end, cooperative online multiplayer has been a unambiguous net positive.
Yes, but something these people desperately need to learn. Is that you cannot balance a game for co-op and single player. It just doesn't work. Not unless you have unless you have one mode with one set of mechanics and another mode with different mechanics.
Right.
Yeah, that's how
Anybody
the
who
solutions end
suggests
up
otherwise has their head up their ass.
Yeah,
right.
That's generally what the solutions end up being.
Okay.
Well, personally, I think that the major problem here is that the publishers are seeing money when the gamer is saying no. We would rather play games like, oh, I don't know, Final Fantasy X than your AI than your live service slop. And I remember how bad of a reception Final Fantasy X got. It was nearly that bad. Now, since then, I would argue that Final Fantasy 13 is the worst Final Fantasy of all time. But that's
Which one? 16 or 15?
13.
Oh no. Final Fantasy 13 actually wasn't that bad. It just wasn't brilliant either.
No.
But if you knew how to set things up, you could do pretty well.
Well, holding hands, I don't like the concept of a JRPG holding a player's hand as they go from point A to point B. But that's just me. But
for me, I refuse to wait 20 hours for a game to get good.
Actually, that is very true. But that's neither here nor there.
Of course not. Why would it be? You know, people doing the retard. No. Much as I'd like to do the whole, much as I'd just absolutely love to do the roundup, because there's lots of those there's a lot of those front R things running around, and most of them in the industry.
Yeah.
Seriously, guys, let's just stop buying crap games.
Well, they see money. Well, okay. I'm going to phrase this very, very carefully because what the publishers are seeing compared to what the players are wanting are two different things. the players want games that are actually good.
No, they want games that they can have fun with. But that's a different that's a different issue completely.
But what the publishers are saying is, how can a game give us money,
Money.
and they don't actually want to spend money on the research into what makes games good for the player.
Except that, yes, they think they do.
And their answer is live service slop, like Highguard.
Well, you know, they saw the MMO table and went, how can we make this like complete
Yeah.
You know, they saw what was going on at the MMOs table and said, "Ooh," and then we have, Overwatch, loot boxes, and all the other stuff. Then they microtransactions were a thing for a long while, and they still are.
And
But
we still have,
funnily enough, microtransactions is something that they adopted from the mobile market, because they're like, oh wow, these guys make way more money than we do. Why aren't we making that money? We need to be making all the money and then some.
mm-hmm.
You need to get you need to get to the program.
But the problem is that they're facilitating it to one type of player.
Yeah,
the whales.
Not just the whale. You're talking about the mobile people that have been playing these games for a while on mobile. You give them fresh versions of everything and call it and try and call it an afternoon. But
yeah. But overall the main problem is that there's a disconnect between publishers and gamers. When in reality, that connection needs to be made constantly. But the fact is that the gaming industry as a whole needs to reset itself. And I don't make that call lightly. But the gaming industry as a whole needs to reset itself in order to remind the developers and the publishers that no, they don't deserve all of our monies.
So the AAA publishers need a reset.
Yes.
They do. They really do.
But overall, the main problem here is that the gaming industry as a whole needs to be reminded that no, you do not deserve all of our monies just because you made an entertaining product.
Well, the indie side of the gaming industry does get that message quite often.
Except that some of the bigger ones are losing the plot.
Yes, exactly.
There are some that are not. There are some that are not. There are some that aren't. Most notably, the My Time people, Pathia.
Mm-hmm.
They still get it, and they're continuing to get it. They made some changes in their most recent one based on demands, more or less, from the players. The players that put up with My Time at Porsche and actually enjoyed it. Those of us that came in later for Sandrock, and Sandrock was brilliant. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I didn't even come in that much later. I just missed the thing. And we are currently waiting on My Time at Evershine, which is looking quite a bit better in terms of art direction and such.
Right.
Let's just hope they include a breath slider for those who like to play the gals. And get the rest of the focuses in.
Just a quick hats off to that company for keeping the female characters feminine.
Yes, actually, they did. That was a thing they did do for the Mind Time series. They have another series called Let's School. It's just basically a school sim, where you get to build shit up, and you're the headmaster. If I remember correctly, I might not. Don't quote me on that. But they went from that to third-person action RPGs, and it actually it's really working well for them.
Interesting.
Or alternately, Pocket Pair, who went in and said, "Okay, that's Pokemon. Here's some other games that work really, really, really well. Let's do Pokemon with farming, guns, and a really lovely open world with lots of shit to do in it. Let's do that, and we've got towers. Yes, we've got towers, but we're not going to do that in the Ubisoft mold. We're going to do this so you walk up to the tower, you say, okay, I want to do this boss fight, and you don't have to climb it.
Right.
The boss is up at the top, and you do not have to cover the intervening distance. And there's even a fast travel point right up there at the top of the tower. I know. I've whacked about 5 of these over 3 games.
Well, unfortunately for everybody involved, we're going to have to cut it off here. But here lies Highguard, January 26, 2026 through March 12th, 2026.
Yeah, $2 million right off. $2 million handed to Jeff Keighley for what the fuck ever, and nothing to show for it now.
Yes, exactly.
I do give the Highguard devs my condolences, though, because unlike Concord, they were not expecting to make the next Star Wars.
And there was the other thing. That trailer was just bollocks. It was hurtful. It was hateful, and I feel really, really, really bad for their horses.
Well, it was kind of just slapped together. I don't think they were expecting to make that trailer.
No, they weren't. Unfortunately, we have to go for today. I am your host, Sanji Himura. Thank you for watching the W2 Report for Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. But until the next time we see you, beware, the taxman cometh.
Hello, folks. This is Morgan Freeman. This concludes our broadcast today. I'm Morgan Freeman. Good night.